Episode 92, Selfie Love with Davina Fear.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and certified through the Life Coach School. Together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with the coach? Here we go.
We live in a day and age where people are constantly sharing parts of their lives with other people. Social media is meant for sharing our lives, our likes, our accomplishments, our heartaches, and so much more. And yet many of us shy away from sharing who we truly are. We fear that who we are truly isn't enough, that if we share too much of ourselves, it could possibly make others feel less than. Coach Davina Fear believes the opposite is true. She thinks that when we don't share our true self, the essence of what makes us us, we are not showing up in the way God has intended us to be, and we are depriving others of our greatness. God is a God of growth, expansion, and more. The world truly needs more of us, not less of us. Davina wants all women to show up and share who they really are, and so she has developed a course on how to take selfies that showcase one's uniqueness. It has helped so many women share the true versions of themselves, and she wants to share what she has learned with each of you. Come listen so you can learn the importance of taking selfies with love and sharing them with others so they can see all of who you are.
Hey folks, glad to have everybody here with us today. I'm especially glad to have with me Coach Davina Fear. She's been on before and always a good time. Davina, you've introduced yourself before, but I think you should introduce yourself again and then we'll just go from there.
I'm Davina Fear. I am a coach who helps women to just break the rules in your own brain that you're ready to bust out of. I am the founder of Warrior Women, and I have a book coming out, but actually by the time this airs, the book will have been out. It's about the love of God and repentance and how all of that is totally about a relationship with them and so much different. I feel like we haven't titled the name yet because I'm working with my publisher right now, but I'm kind of leaning toward Repentance Reimagined because I feel like it's like a whole new way to look at repentance from this such loving, incredibly awesome place. So I have that coming out. And then I have my Selfie Siren sessions that I think we're going to be talking about a little bit today. And then I'm a coach that just loves to dive deep and also have a lot of fun in coaching. I do a lot of different things, some hands-on stuff in coaching, and it's just, love it.
I love it so much. We were talking a little bit before we started recording about our kids, and Davina was telling me about what her kids are doing right now. And it's so fun. Her enthusiasm for life is certainly reflected in the things that her kids are doing right now too. And I just love hearing that and seeing all the things, and your kids are doing adventurous and amazing things, and you are doing the same thing in your own business. And I just think it's super fun.
Yeah, it's true. That is what's happening.
It is. It's so fun. And it's fun
to
watch and see. So, okay. You mentioned Selfie Siren. Tell me what that is. I might even be saying it wrong, but that's what I heard you say.
Yeah. Selfie Siren sessions. And they are where I help women tap into their awesomeness, beauty, everything within them that maybe they are holding back. And I help them photograph that of themselves. And so a lot of the time people we're in the kind of a selfie culture, like Kim Kardashian and everything. And sometimes we put some judgment on that, people only show their best selves, or nobody can be perfect, or we try to make these perfect things, these perfect selfies, or we only put forward our highlights or whatever. Or on the other hand, we see other people looking that way and we judge ourselves and think, oh, we're not that. I'm not that. I don't have that perfect body, or I don't look that good on camera. I'm not photogenic. We have all these beliefs and rules around ourselves about what we can and cannot post even. And part of Selfie Siren is just allowing yourself to see this amazingness that you are and photograph that and just pretty much be surprised and amazed at that. And so it's an experience where for 4 days, every day for 4 days, we do hands-on selfies where for like the first hour or so, we do some coaching on maybe some of the stuff that's holding you back from loving your own selfie. And then I coach, and then I share a little bit of tips on how to like take really good selfies of yourself. And then the second hour is where you actually go gather all the things, and it's on Zoom. And so everybody's on Zoom and everybody's getting to learn from each other and watch each other and support each other. It's just like such a safe, wonderful, creative, transformative, loving space. It's so much fun. And people come out of these selfie sessions with like images of themselves that they had no idea they could create and see themselves in ways that they didn't even realize was possible. So it's pretty cool. They surprise themselves basically.
Yeah, I'm curious, aside from like what they see in the image, right? Because we put a lot of weight on what we see, and that's the most unimportant thing about us. What do they like? Tell me about the internal transformation, which I think is so interesting because there is this internal transformation that happens when we take a look at the external and try to shift from that perspective too. Am I making sense of what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I don't know that the outside of us is the most unimportant. I don't really want to even put that stuff on like this, the inner is better than the outer, or outer is better than inner, because our bodies are our experience on earth. That's what we came here for, is like this physical thing, being in a physical body, feeling all the things a body can only feel like by being in one. And so I don't want to negate or make less than this body, even the outward appearance. I don't want to like lessen that, because I think so much of what's going on internally shows up externally. And so being able to love yourself on the outside starts on the inside. And even once you are identifying those things on the inside, then sometimes the external does like transform and change, and that can be a witness to the things that are happening inside you. So I totally feel like they can work in tandem to support each other, that inside and outside.
Yeah, that's a great perspective too. So thank you for sharing that. What changes do you see in the selfies that women take at the beginning of their course versus the ones at the end of the course?
One of the things that's really interesting is I have everyone take a before selfie and an after selfie, because I want people to be able to see the change that happens, because sometimes our eyes show us what we may not be able to articulate or understand or integrate without seeing. And so that's part of the reason I have them do the before and after. So a lot of times people will just take a quick selfie. Oh, here we go. Whatever. Yeah. And the change that I see in so many women is in that before selfie, they see all the things that they don't like about themselves. And in the after selfie, they see everything they love about themselves, or at least more that they love about themselves. Like just seeing the two images, you're like, something happened between that image and this image. And it's not like anybody went shopping and got new outfits or got new makeup or any, nothing like that. It's just that they started seeing themselves in a different way.
I think that that's such a fascinating concept, because we do know that what we look for is what we find, right? So I'm assuming for all of us, like with their initial selfie, they believe all these not so great things about themselves. And so that's what they see when they look at the image. They find all the evidence of that. And the after selfie is they have learned to look for some other things, and they are creating some other things in themselves as well. And so they're able to find it.
Yeah, completely. So one of the first things that I ask people to do is identify the things that they already love about their body. Like, what's your favorite aspect of your body? Or what's your favorite thing about yourself or whatever? And some people will say, oh, my eyes. My eyes are like so awesome. Or I have like really great lips. So people will identify. Some people like love their collarbone. They're like, oh my gosh, every time I see my collarbones, I'm just like, oh, I'm so sexy or whatever. And so that's the first place we start is what do you love about your body? And then I'm like, that is what you're going to be photographing today. You're going to focus, like all of that is going to be the first thing the camera sees today. And so we start with what you already love. We're not going to try to make you love your butt or your thighs if you don't love them. We're not going to push that. We're not going to force that. We're not going to make you accept your whole body or whatever. We're just going to like start with what you already love. Even that is like a shift for people, for these women. They're like, oh, okay, I can do that. I didn't realize. And a lot of times they don't even realize, oh, there are things I love about myself that I can accentuate or put forward or love more. A lot of times when you love what you, I mean, definitely when you love what you already have and are grateful for what you already have, then it's easier to love the other parts. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I have these amazing lips, then you're like, oh, I love my lips. And maybe my hips are kind of cool too. I mean, I have luscious lips and luscious hips. Ooh, that's kind of sexy. You kind of start thinking and reacting to the rest of the parts of you that you thought you didn't love. You start being like, oh, maybe those hips aren't so bad now,
Mm-hmm.
And so just starting with those aspects that you already love and seeing the magic that's already in those parts of you starts the other pieces of magic like start to kind of come glittering forward or start like coming to the surface or start flowing out of you a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Such a fascinating thing that happens when you do start to be more accepting or more loving of all the parts of you. It's like your brain is able to let go of thinking about the dislike all the time and open up so much space to live life rather than worrying about all of the things that are holding you back because of what you believe, what the things you don't, thinking about the things you don't like or the things that you should change versus just loving. I don't know. There's just so much brain space that opens up. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And that brain space starts to see evidence or reasons for loving these parts of yourself. And so then your brain starts getting in a lot more of a gratitude space, which I think sometimes we overuse gratitude type of stuff in like one definition, but even in that place of, ooh, yeah, those are some nice eyes you got there. Then your brain starts to be like, oh, you got nice eyes. What else is nice? Your brain wants to look for that. And so it's the same way as our brain sometimes automatically what ifs itself into all the negative, like, oh my gosh, what if no one likes me? What if everything is going to go wrong? What if I never make another dime in my life? What if everyone hates me and then they come at me on social media and then no one ever wants to talk to? I mean, our brain does that what if that direction. So once we start what ifing, like, what if I never lose another pound again? What if my body like freaks out? Or we start kind of what ifing in that direction when we could what if in the direction of what if I am like so hot instead of what if I like am never going to be cute again? Or, I mean, we have these things that go on in our brains that if we said them to anyone else, we'd be like, what in the heck are you talking about? Why are you saying that to another human being? But we say that stuff to ourselves and it's kind of can be shocking, but also realizing, okay, if I can what if myself into not liking myself, then I could what if myself into loving myself too.
Yeah. And then when you get to that place of loving yourself, it does become easier to put some more time and attention on relationships outside of you, right? Those things that are important, those other relationships that are important to us. Obviously, the relationship with ourselves is first and foremost, but we all want good relationships with our spouses, our children, our friends. We want work, we want relationships with our businesses, and it opens up so much space to do that. Even I think it's not even just about, I mean, it is about the relationship with ourselves first and foremost, but it reflects in all of the other things that we do in our life as well.
Definitely. In the scriptures, it says, love your neighbor as yourself. And so that verse in and of itself implies that you love yourself and have a loving, non-judgmental, non-critical, understanding, accepting, embracing view of yourself. And if you can do that, then it's so much easier to love your neighbor, or your business, or your spouse, or your children, or whatever. And that possibility right there, I think in our church and in Christianity in general, I think there's a lot of you have to be humble, you have to be selfless, be unselfish, like, and sometimes in that teaching, we think that means don't be nice to yourself.
Stay small. All of those things.
Stay small. Don't be too wild. Don't be too out there. Don't be too anything. Don't be too much. Don't be too whatever. So many things can come after that. And then we have the whole idea of being perfect that pervades everything. Like, and perfection means like being critical of yourself and seeing all the ways you're falling short so that you can fix those, and so that you can be better, and so that you can all that stuff. And that's not at all what God wants for us. That is not the idea. And in my opinion, we are already perfect. A perfect person is a body and a spirit. Hello, that is what we are right now. There's so many ways to view perfection that does not have to do with being critical, hurtful, unkind, telling yourself that you're falling short, that you don't measure up. That is absolutely not what our heavenly parents want for us. And I know that because that's not what I want for my own kids. I never think that my kids aren't perfect. I'm like, you're perfect exactly as you are. I love you. You're amazing. I see like so much in you, and you are so much, and whatever you are right now is perfect. And whatever you are 5 days from now is perfect. And whatever you were 5 days ago was perfect. So I think that being able to allow that who you are right in this very moment is exactly perfect, right, exactly where you're supposed to be, exactly who you're supposed to be, and letting go of all of the judgments and all of the harshness and all of the unkindness that we put on ourselves. And I feel like that's one of the reasons these Selfie Siren sessions are so transformative and so special and powerful, is because it is a place where all of that falls away and this magical space just opens up for women to let go of the criticism, let go of the lack, let go of the perfection that they thought they had to be, and embrace the perfection that they already are. And it does feel like holy ground to be on in those 4 days. Every time we come together, it just feels so miraculous and protected and amazing to be part of.
Yeah, seems like there's this element of trust that we have to have in God and in ourselves in order to live our life in this belief that we are perfect already. And when we can trust and come to know God's real nature, and I think that's such an important thing, is like understanding what his true nature is, right? And you paralleled it with how you are as a parent, and how your hopes and your dreams and the way you see your kids, the things you have for the hopes and dreams you have for your kids, and trusting and knowing that certainly God is exactly the same way. And
except like times more, 1,000.
Yes, like much bigger.
Yeah.
And then being able to trust that we know how to live big in the way that he sees that we are capable of living, like trusting ourselves to do that as well. There's this trust is a very key element.
Oh, yes, definitely. Part of the process that happens is that there is more trust that comes into play, of trusting themselves. The more we can trust ourselves, even looking around, like God said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And that pure in heartness is like that willingness to trust yourself. That is being pure in heart, trusting yourself, being willing to trust that you have the answers, and that relationship with you and God is like that's all you need, that you don't have to be looking outside yourself for that trust, and you don't have to be like looking externally, that's already like in you. And even when we look around, I think looking around and seeing all the beauty that exists in the world that God created, and there are definitely, we can have judgments about whether that beauty is beautiful or whether it's not. We can have those judgments. This doesn't change that it's beautiful. Doesn't change that it's amazing and a miracle, and that it exists in the world, that it even exists in the world, that seems so like mind-blowing. And the same is true about you. You are a beautiful, amazing, miraculous, magical being, that you can walk around without something tethered to you. Like that, like we've tried to make robots and tried to do cloning and all these things, and there's like, the way we are is like no one can replicate it. A robot has to have like all these things going. I mean, it's just like you being a person that just can walk around without like a water thing attached to you and an air thing attached to you and a something attached to your brain and something attached to your muscles so that it can all work. I mean, all of that is like, what? You can just walk around and do your thing. And that is so much beauty, so much miraculous stuff going on right there. And that you have like so much power and potential within you. I think I've shared this with you before, that like splitting one atom makes a nuclear bomb. And we have like atoms in us to like the 27th power or something like that. So we have the power of nuclear bombs in us. And I'm not saying like, oh, nuclear bombs are, but I mean, just like watching a nuclear bomb, you're like, oh my gosh, that is so much power. That is so crazy. I can't even believe that thing exists. And the effect that can have is totally terrible, but at the same time, it's like, what in the world? We have that kind of power harnessed within us, and we're walking around with it to the 27th power or something like that. And we're not combusting and exploding. But there's just like so much magical, miraculous, mind-blowing stuff going on with every single one of us. And I've seen this video like that we're a literal light show. Like inside of us, everything that's happening is like light and electric, and all we're like electrical light beings inside of us. And so to me, I'm like, let's show that on the outside in your selfies. Let's make that be something that you can see, and that the world can see, and that can be like this amazing energetic experience for not just you, but for other people on a level that feels so nourishing and supportive and loving and powerful in a way that transforms you and the world and everything. It's just so exciting to me. I'm like, let's bring all of that and let's like see it in a selfie.
Okay, so what would you say to the person, like the naysayer out there, that there are people that are like, but wait, there are parts of me that need to change. Like people tell me that I need to be different. I see that I need to be different. Like if we truly believe that we don't need to change, then that I'm just going to stay stuck. Right?
Oh, well, I think our thoughts about that stuff is what keeps us stuck. That we think that those things are a problem are what keep us stuck. For one of my last, for my last round of Selfie Siren, one of the days I said, okay, we're going to make a list of everything that people have told you are too much, that you need to stop, that you need to change, that's a problem for them or whatever. You're going to write all of those down. And so everybody wrote all of those down. And then I said, okay, I want you to look at this list, and what this list actually is your superpower. All of those things are your actual superpowers. And people were like, what, they are? And I said, yes. And you are going to photograph them today as though they are your superpower. And people were like, some of the things were, you're too loud, you're too detailed, you're too sensitive, you cry too much, you're too bossy, all these different things. I think it's interesting. I'm losing my voice about the things that people judge. So interesting, right? Okay. So those are the things, like, we're going to reframe those as your superpower, because they absolutely are.
Yeah.
Sometimes what your superpower is, or what those are the things that people get a little afraid of, because there is so much power behind those, and so much intuition, and so much like knowing who you are, and those things want to come out, and that you can barely hold them back, because they are so necessary in the world, but also can be so scary for you and for other people sometimes. But being able to look at them as a superpower, and something that is like so nourishing, supportive, helpful to you, and can be the same for other people, photographing them in that way, that was probably one of the most powerful days of our Selfie Siren session last time, because people were like, their minds were blown. They were like, what? How can that be? And then photographing it and seeing themselves in that way, in a way that's like so wonderful and amazing and miraculous and magical, was just like so cool.
Okay, if I remember correctly, you were a photographer in your previous days, right, before becoming a coach.
Yes.
And so I am sitting here thinking that this to me is like the perfect example of what happens when we learn to play big and love all the parts of us. Like, we're able to take all the things that we love, and mind you, they are things that are like God-given desires, right? There's a reason why you love all the things you do, because he needs you someplace in that area of your life, right? And you have figured out all these things that you love, and you're making like something even better, because you've like gelled all of the things that you love to do, and helping people gain a different perspective of themselves. And you love to photograph, or at least you have in your past, in the past. And I just think it's amazing what happens when we come to embrace and love all the parts of us. We're to just be even more of us, and be more of what he needs us to be, and to help other people see that in themselves as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yes. And that is so cool to see happening in people's lives. And just like you've seen in your coaching and what you do, and the way you help people, that being able to see that come alive and be seen and embraced and loved when it wasn't previously, just gives me like the chills.
I know, we're the luckiest. It's so fun. And it's not like it's unique to us, right? It's just that we have learned some things that help us embrace and be brave and embrace all the parts of us, so that we can be.
Yeah. And the more each person does that, the more it gives permission for more people to do it, and more people to do it, and more people to do it. And what if everyone was as on fire and as lit up and as like, just like so even like turned on by themselves and their life and like everything that's happening? I mean, what kind of world could we live in if everyone was tapping into their bigness and all of that, and we were just all like so lit up by just being in each other's presence, like so electrified and magnified by just being next to these people who are like living these on fire, confetti, glitter, in the flow, grounded, amazing lives. I mean, what could be possible in the world if that were happening on this like individual you and me level?
Yeah. Our individuality, I'm going to like make words up here, I'm sure, but our individualness, our individualness and figuring that out is what then creates this beautiful element of us, right? Because we just are able to help each other and blend together and not be threatened by each other, and lean into one another's strengths and not compare, like all the things. Like, we need the individual because we need our collectiveness.
Yeah, that wholeness that comes from letting go. And I'm going to quote kind of the the givens here with the woundedness, like being able to let go of those wounded places within us and the things that people have told us about that are, we're too much of whatever, being able to let go of that and like embrace how amazing that actually is. That healing contributes to the healing and wholeness of the collective, like you said, like being able to let so much go and then also embrace at the same time. Yeah. It's like such an interesting thing that you're letting go and embracing at the same time.
Yeah. And that's really what it's all about. It's really all about us in this world of people all walking each other home, right? Like we need each other, and like the individual is where it starts, and we strengthen that person. And then we're able to just be so much more in the world.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Else. Yes. The pictures of the new telescope going out into space are all over the internet right now.
Yes.
People might have forgotten about it by the time they hear this podcast, but the pictures are stunningly magical and, oh my gosh, mind blowing. That like, it's a grain of sand size of space that you're looking at. And you're like, what? There are like galaxies within that grain size piece of galaxy. And it just makes me think of how we are so much more, and that God is always about more life, more stars, more you. And we get told that we're supposed to be less of ourselves, like be smaller. We believe that's what we're supposed to be like. Don't be too much. You might hurt someone's feelings, or you don't be whatever, but God is so much about more. More and more and more. I mean, I look at trees and I'm like, how can there be that many leaves in the world on one tree? I mean, if you start counting them, there's like millions of leaves on one tree. You look at the stars and and you're looking at that grain of sand in space, and it's like galaxies, which means there's gazillions of stars. And to the like 35th power light years, it's just like mind blowing, all of the moreness that God is. And I was thinking about this, and I put this in my book, that when we came here, our worth was not set. Within the coaching industry, a lot of times we say your worth was set. You are worthy no matter what. You were worthy before you came here, which I totally agree. And at the same time, I believe when we came here, our worth was not set, because every single breath we take makes us more. Every experience we have, every thought we think, every feeling we feel, everything that happens makes us more and more and more and more of ourselves. There's no way to stop becoming more. We are more all the time. And we're going to just keep being more and more and more and more. There's nothing we can do to hold that back. There's nothing that can hold back the tide of you. And God just wants more of you to be happening all the time. And there's no way to stop you being more. And I just think that's like so amazing. The worth of you is just like always becoming more. You can't stop it. You can't change it. It's just happening.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you and I could talk about more and more and more for a really long time. But I also know that people can get more of this conversation from you elsewhere. And you shared with us some of the things that you have going on right now, but where can people ultimately find more of you? I know we'll link to it on the show notes, but why don't you go ahead and tell us as well?
Okay, sure. So I am on Instagram, Davina Fear. I am on Facebook, Davina Fear. I have a website, lifewithdavina.com. And I have a podcast where I have hundreds of episodes. So there's lots of me more. There's more of me there for sure. Lots of episodes there. And it's called the Davina Podcast for Warrior Women. And that's on pretty much any platform. So I'm lots of places.
I'm so glad that you have learned and are continue to be more and more and more, because everybody needs more and more and more of this in their life so that we can live it to the fullest. And anyway, I love it.
Yes.
We're so blessed to get to do what we do. And I'm grateful for all those people who are listening here today. And I know that they know people who need this message as well. So share this with your friends. And Davina, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you. And I'll give you the link to my book because it'll be out by then.
Oh, yes, please do. I'm excited about that. Super excited about that anyway. So, all right, folks, Thank you so much. And we will see you again next time.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.